After half a decade, we continue our journey through the timeline of the Jigsaw Killer with 2021's film, Spiral. Stick with us through this recap so that you're all ready for the next film in this series that comes out in late September, Saw X. If you're new to Sinister Snapshots, welcome to our channel, and welcome back to those of you who have been here before. The film opens up with a cop named Marv Boswick walking through a carnival. A woman gets her purse stolen and pursues the robber through the crowd and follows him into the sewer system. As he walks through the sewers, he sees what looks like a person with their back towards him. He notices that it's a mannequin, and as he's looking at the fallen figure, he's attacked and knocked unconscious by a figure in a pig mask. He awakens bloody as he stands on a stool, bound by razor wire with his tongue screwed into a contraption. A video begins to play and tells Boswick that a train will arrive in 3 minutes, killing him unless he rips his tongue out with the contraption and jumps off the track. He eventually rips his tongue off, but is too slow, so he's crushed by the oncoming train. The film cuts and introduces a man named Zeke Banks, who's gearing up to commit a robbery with a gang of men. As they try to escape, they are surrounded by cops, and it's revealed that Banks is actually an undercover cop. One of the cops responding to the scene recognizes Zeke in the car, and the scene cuts to the precinct, where we find out that Zeke did not alert the other cops about the heist. The captain, Angie Garza, tells him that he will have to learn to work as a team and assigns him a rookie partner named William Schenk. In the precinct, we find out that Banks' father, Marcus, was a stellar cop for the town before Banks. After this, Banks and Schenk investigate the subway scene, unaware of whose remains are on the tracks, and later, Banks receives a package with a USB drive. On the drive is a message from the Jigsaw Killer. Banks recognizes the wall marked with a spiral as the courthouse and brings his squad there. He finds another box with Boswick's severed tongue and badge. The police now realize that it was Boswick who was killed in the subway. Banks goes to visit Boswick's now widow and questions her. The only thing out of the ordinary that she mentioned seeing was a black SUV parked out front a week prior. We see a flashback of a time when Officer Banks turned in a man named Pete Dunleavy for being a crooked cop. Pete shot and killed a potential witness in a murder case against a cop, and because of Banks' testimony, Pete went to jail for 9 years. The following morning, detectives Krause and Fitch used video footage to identify the man that Boswick was chasing after before his murder, and Fitch goes to a warehouse where he believes that the suspect lives, but does not find anyone there. He's knocked unconscious by an assailant and wakes up in a trap. At the same time, Banks goes to meet his dad for dinner, but walks in and sees that he's not there. Another package from the Jigsaw Killer is delivered to Banks, revealing a new location at the 12th Street Bridge. The police go there and find Fitch's bag along with his severed fingers. During a flashback, we see that Fitch once killed an innocent man after the man insulted him during a traffic stop. We see a flashback of Fitch's murder. Fitch was placed in a tub that was slowly filling with water, and at some point, the water will hit exposed wires, electrocuting him. The killer explains in a video that Fitch used his fingers to commit murder, so he was required to rip them all off in order to live. He tried to do so, but was unable to do so in time, thus killing him. Banks receives another package, and inside this one is his new partner, Schenk's skin. In a recording, the killer tells Banks that he's now under his skin and will soon go for his head. In the box, they also uncover the next clue. It's a small bottle of paint labeled Constantine, and the film shows an old photo of Marcus and Banks in front of the store. They arrive to the store, which is now a butcher shop, and see what looks like Schenk's skinned body hanging. As Banks goes to inform Schenk's family of his death, the police radio announces an attack on a cop, and Banks arrives on the scene where the cop explains that he was stabbed by a person in a pig mask. During this interaction, Banks replays the message from Jigsaw in his mind, and realizes that when the killer says that he's going for Banks' head, he meant the head of police, Angie Garza. He tries to get in touch with her, but is unable to do so. Simultaneously, Angie gets a text telling her to go get a file from the cold case storage room that will assist her with the current case. The message lures her into an ambush, and she's abducted by the killer and attached to a trap. She wakes up in the trap and plays a recording that informs her that she's covered other people in the department's necks, and now boiling hot wax will begin to pour out of the pipe above her head, and the only way to prevent her suffocation is to sever her spinal cord with the blade behind her neck. The cops arrive to her aid just too late. finding her dead with her face peeling off from the hot wax. Banks goes to review the security footage and sees that there are 13 minutes missing from the camera recording. The cops see who's accessed the security system in the last day and see that Pete Dunleavy was one of the people who had accessed the footage in the past day. Banks believes that Pete may be behind all of this, but another cop blames Marcus. Banks continues to Pete's workplace and is knocked unconscious by the killer. The film cuts to the recent past, and we see that Marcus has found the killer's headquarters. Marcus is attacked by the killer and knocked unconscious. When Banks awakens, he's attached by handcuff to a pipe with a hacksaw nearby. Banks is just about to saw his hand off when he notices a bobby pin on the floor nearby. He's able to retrieve the pin and unbind himself. He sees a figure handcuffed to another pipe, standing on a stool. He uncovers the person's mask and realizes that it's Pete. Pete denies having any hand in what's been going on, and Banks plays a recording that informs the duo that Pete's life is in Banks's hands. A crusher turns on and begins to smash and spray shattered glass all over the room and into Pete's back. Banks finds the key and unlocks Pete, but he's already died from his wounds. Banks walks through a doorway and eventually meets face-to-face with Shank, revealing that he is the new Jigsaw killer. We learn that Shank is the son of the witness who was murdered by Pete. Shank tells Banks that he has his father, and then invites Banks to join him in his spree of killing crooked cops. Banks agrees to join, but Shank doesn't trust him because he had failed the first test by trying to save Pete, but he will give him a second test to see if he can be trusted. Shank calls the police and reports an active shooting at their location. He then leads Banks into a room where Marcus is held up by wires and hands Banks a gun with one bullet. The test is to see if Banks can shoot a mechanism that will allow his father to be freed. Banks points the gun at Shank, and Shank tells him that he can shoot him, but then there will be no bullet left to save Marcus. Shank explains that Marcus is being punished because he was the chief who presided over a reign of terror due to Article 8, which let his precinct engage in illegal behavior in the name of stopping crime. Marcus objects to this portrayal and claims his tactics did more good than harm. Meanwhile, the cops arrive and begin storming the warehouse. Banks eventually uses the bullet to activate the mechanism to free his father. Marcus, though still attached to the wires, is lowered to the ground. Banks pulls out the tubes draining Marcus's blood as Shank runs to the escape elevator. Banks manages to catch up to Shank, and the pair engage in a fistfight. The cops bust through the door and rush in. The wires suddenly activate again because they were attached to the door, which causes Marcus to move like a puppet. The wires make it look like Marcus is aiming a weapon at the cops, resulting in them firing bullets at him, killing him in front of Banks. As Banks screams out in rage, Shank disappears in his elevator with a smile on his face, and the credits roll. That wraps up our Sinister Snapshots recap of Spiral. If you enjoyed this recap, do not forget to subscribe to Sinister Snapshots, your one-stop destination for the best horror film recaps. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on the latest and most horrifying tales from the best and most chilling films in the horror genre. And of course, leave a comment below about what other horror movie recaps or sinister stories you'd like to see next. Until next time, friends, and don't forget to check out the next installment in the series, Saw X, coming to theaters soon.